saw, personally, what I saw, just by my count, looked like about 200 people. So the I guarantee it was more than 200, right? Yeah. So, but that's a good estimate. So we said at the Capitol, on Capitol Hill in D.C., after Biden was brought in, after he was certified to be brought in, I believe it was on the 19th of January. Around that time, obviously,
it was the Monday.
Yeah,
he's going to be inaugurated on Tuesday.
On a Tuesday,
that Monday.
Okay, so he's going to be inaugurated, and the Capitol was stormed by a lot of supporters. We'll say they would consider Trump supporters. Matter, why do we say that? Because they had all Trump gear on as they stormed the Capitol, and unfortunate situation. People did lose their life, where people had to be skilled.
We even had some police officers lose their life too during that.
Police officers did lose their life. There was some pushback. 2 months later, and I'll call it what it is, because mostly there were white people out there that stormed the Capitol behind the Trump situation. There happened to be a young black male, which, if you look at all this situation, I think the situation happened out in Boulder, Colorado, where it was a guy, he was from the Middle Eastern guy or whatever, and shot in the store.
He walked into the store and just shot people.
And then there happened to be a black gentleman that ended up going to the barricade or whatever out there at the Capitol. So we do know that all incidents are not done by one race. And we're not going to get into a discussion on what race does it more than the other, right? I think that we find ourselves sometimes getting caught into that, and that becomes the narrative. And then we never get to the solution. So with that situation took place at the Capitol, the guy who was guilty, and I'll explain it. He was in a car, he approached the Capitol. He rammed his car into a barricade, and as he was getting out the car, after he hit the barricade, he had a knife in his hand, went to attack an officer. I believe he injured the officer. And while he was injuring the officer, he was also shot. And he was considered a suspect. He died as well as the officer. So the suspect and the officer both died. And they really don't know how this situation was influenced or targeted. There have been talks that he was Muslim and so different things. They look at his social media, etc., trying to get some sort of a profile of who he was. He has some positive things to say on social media, different things like that. Guys, that's the mental psyche that you have to get to, where you have to understand people better, because you'll go to their social media and you'll see positive things, you'll see things where they're cracking jokes, and you'll see things that are negative. So you really, you just don't know. But I thought it was a very unfortunate situation or whatever. I just after hearing it, what do you think maybe was something that he was thinking about, ran through his mind, or why he wanted to do that?
Personally can't answer that question of why he did it.
Yeah.
I can say that young brother must have been suffering in some kind of way, and he must have felt like his voice was unheard, and he figured out that he wanted to take a stand on something. I don't know what kind of motivation he was listening to, or what kind of motivation he was reading, because this doesn't look like something that it was actually his original thoughts. Okay. Because what you're saying is, he had positive messages on the social media, and he stayed under the radar of the FBI, the government, and all those task forces. So, with that being said, he must have read something that just actually drove him over the edge to where he felt like he needed to do something. He might even consider himself something like a martyr to start the conversation again. Because if you notice, we'll talk about something for about two or 3 months max. And then after that, we're on to the next thing, because it's always something else. Yeah. It's always some attention getting diverted. It was George Floyd, then next thing you know it was Breonna Taylor. After Breonna Taylor, then it was Kennesaw, Wisconsin, or Washington, whatever. Yeah. That situation there, and it just goes on and on and on. But these situations only last expiration period of about 3 months. So maybe he decided he wanted to be a martyr for that 3 months. I don't know. I can't really respond to what his thing was, but I can honestly say mental health had something to do with that. I would.
So the mental health, we need to do check-ins. We need to do more check-ins with just our everyday people to kind of get in and see, because something random like that taking place has to be something bigger than what the surface is showing. It was definitely something underneath the surface.
Somebody in this inner circle knew how he was thinking, and somebody could actually reach out to him.
Okay.
Because if you're going to do something like that, and you got a brother, cousin, or somebody that you're close to, you're going to talk to them. You're not just going to all of a sudden wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go drive my car into the Capitol building, and the first person, police officer I see, I'm going to stab him in the face.
And we pray that, we hope that it doesn't, that it didn't work out like that, but like you said, some things are random. So we want to touch on that. We're going to actually continue this conversation. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and kind of put a parking space on that right now. And we'll see, guys, give me some comments and some feedback of what you think about the situation that took place at the Capitol and how consistent these incidents are taking place in the Capitol, especially within the last 3 months. We're having a lot of issues that are taking place. Why do you think this rage is coming into fruition in the standings of where we are now, especially after the presidency has switched over?
Civil unrest. It's a lot of civil unrest lately. That's what it is.
Civil unrest.
Yeah, civil unrest.
Okay.